So in this video, we'll talk about, corporate problem solving, especially one aspect of corporate problem solving and the problem with processes and structures as part of problem solving. Now, problem solving is a day-to-day activity in any corporate, right? Corporate or small business, whatever that is. Problem solving is something that we do multiple times on a day-to-day basis. But very often, we fall into a certain kind of trap when we try to solve problems. So see, the brain always loves processes because the brain loves structure. The brain loves structure because it gives the brain a certain sense of comfort. So when the brain has a certain sense of comfort, it feels like things are under control, things are being monitored, things are being taken care of. And this is exactly the problem that we run into when we are problem solving in a corporate. You will very often see that in a corporate, when a problem comes up, we try to document it. We first document it, we present it to the various stakeholders, the leadership, the team members, clients. When we track the problem, we report the problem, we build a certain process to make sure the problem doesn't happen again. These are all things that we end up doing in a corporate. I'm not saying that presentations and processes and all of these are bad, but one of the mistakes that we make is that instead of solving the problem directly, head on, we try to build structures around the problem, right? All the presentations and meetings and the scrum calls and all of that, the processes, all of that we tend to do most often revolve around the problem. They don't address the problem directly. You will notice very often that when employee performance dips, corporates tend to track the performance of the employee. They tend to document the performance of the employee, forgetting to address the real problem behind employee performance, which could be, among other things, employee motivation. So instead of solving a problem head on, we tend to build processes and structures around it. And this structure gives our brain a sense of comfort. And it feels like we're doing something. And in team meetings and other calls, you would see that when a problem is being discussed, people report the number of activities that are being done to solve the problem. And often, progress is measured by the number of activities that are done to solve a problem, not in terms of how much we are moving forward. This is especially common in large corporates. This is common in small businesses also. But small businesses that demonstrate this kind of behavior are very unlikely to survive for long. So this is more common in large corporates, and it's a problem that's difficult to be rectified, to be tracked and rectified. It can be tracked and rectified at the individual functional managers level, but holistically as a corporate, this is a problem that's almost impossible to be tracked and rectified. It needs a cultural shift in the organization. So even in personal life, people tend to demonstrate this kind of behavior. And one of the most common examples that I always think of, I always tell people is that when you see in your house that the spending is going overboard, when the spending is going beyond your budget, the solution, of course, is to cut down spending, right? Just go into the problem, which is the spending, and cut the spending down. But instead of that, what most households do is they take a notebook and start tracking the spending, tracking the expenses and the income, right? And that is structure. And this structure gives us a sense of comfort. It gives us the feeling that we are acting on the problem, but in reality, we're just creating processes around the problem, right? We're not addressing the problem, we're creating processes around the problem. And that is a problem with problem solving, especially in corporates. Now, the other thing is that you might think, of course, there is a structure, and that structure gives us comfort, which is why we're not solving the problem. But why are our brains not addressing the problem? The brains are not addressing the problem because solving a problem might be messy, right? When you're addressing a problem, employee motivation, for example, or employees' lack of interest in working for the organization, that's not a problem that's easy to solve. It's easier to track that problem than solve that problem head on. But the solution to a lot of problems, the real solution to a lot of problems, is through the problem and not around it. So that's something you might want to keep in mind. If you have encountered similar situations in your companies, in your personal life, please do let me know in the comment section. If you have other perspectives about this topic, please do let me know that also in the comments.